So hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the EduphoreIAS, the live Hindu current affairs class. Today we'll be starting with yesterday's questions first, as usually what we do, fine, and then we'll be coming back to the today's newspaper itself. So let us start with the yesterday's question first. The first question is related to the Arctic region, especially related to the north. There's Arctic region's vulnerability due to climate change could impact India's economic and water security as well as sustainability. You need to examine this statement for 15 markers to 50 into 50 words. So yesterday we discussed one of the important articles, and among those articles on the text and context page of the Hindu, we discussed one article that was related to the North Sea route. Fine, and there we discussed that somehow this route is very important, text and context page. So especially why this route is important, how this is, and how India and the Northern Sea route, how this route could impact India's future, trade and economic interests. So over the time we have seen, we discussed that in the 2023 itself, for the first 7 months up till July, of course. So we have seen that India got the lion's share somewhere in the around 35%, especially with respect to the shipment that was bound from Murmansk, this port, Murmansk port, which is around about 2,000 kilometers in the north of this northwest of Moscow. Fine, located in the North Sea, you can say, especially in the Arctic region. So why is Arctic region significant to India? That's what we discussed yesterday. So India's involvement in Murmansk cargo traffic has increased significantly, with the country handling 35% of cargo at the Murmansk port in 2023, and that too in the first 7 months of 2023. So this is how you can start, again following the same structure with the answer, that is IBC, intro, body and conclusion. So in introductory lines, you can start your answer with this stat. Fine. Then in the body part, you can further build upon this, that why this Arctic region is significant to India. Then what exactly, or you can start first with what exactly is the NSR, that is North Sea route. Then you can come back to this, why Arctic region is significant to India. And then further, what are the driving factors? So we discussed around 4 factors yesterday for India to participate in the North Sea route development. And then even there we discussed that the current as a third or fourth factor, we discussed Chennai Vladivostok maritime corridor. Fine. So one of the project which is under taken by the India and Russia. So therefore this project or this corridor, maritime corridor, Chennai Vladivostok, somewhat going to cut off the distance. Alongside that, it is going to save on the shipment timing as well. Fine, almost 1/3 shipment timings will be reduced from the existing one, that is 16,000 kilometer St. Petersburg Mumbai route. Fine, so this is how the India is going to benefit from this. So the Arctic region's vulnerability due to the climate change could impact India's economic and water security as well as sustainability. On these very grounds, then India's engagement in the Arctic dates back to the 1920s, not something new that we have started our association with the Arctic councils in the recent past, but it's way back to the 1920s with the signing of the Svalbard Treaty. Svalbard is where? Svalbard is an archipelago in the Norway. Fine, and includes various scientific studies and research activities as well. And for that matter, we have Himadri. Yesterday we discussed Himadri, a research center based in Arctic actually. Fine, so Northern Sea route therefore is the key focus for India in the recent times, as it offers the shortest shipping route between Europe and Asia Pacific region. Fine, and further we discussed in this that in 2021 what happened, we have seen the blockade of this famous sea route, that is this Suez Canal. So we can have this North Sea route as an alternate to Suez Canal, or you can say this Chennai and Vladivostok route could be an alternate to what existing route we have, that is St. Petersburg and Mumbai corridor. Fine, which takes more time than what it will under Chennai and Vladivostok maritime corridor. All these related to the North Sea route only. So this is what how you can approach this. Then what lies forward? So of course we should always I suggest conclude your answer on the affirmative tones or by providing some solutions. Fine, to what we refer to as way forward actually. So for example, lots of things. For example, NSR development plan. Russia has proposed NSR development plan until 2035. Then after that, Russian delegation held meetings with the Indian business community in Delhi as well. Means somewhat Russia wants India to take part in this or wants India to be on board with it. Fine, so that's a good thing. Then as for the CBMC, that is Chennai Vladivostok, this maritime corridor project, a workshop featuring stakeholders two countries, that is Russia and India, is expected to be held in the upcoming months, especially in the second half of the October. So all these things showing that somewhat of course it's a testimony to the good relation between India and Russia. Alongside that, it also shows somewhat our evolving relation as well during these tumultuous times. Okay, so that's it as far as this question is concerned. Quickly, let us switch to the second question. Considering the following statements, 15th BRICS summit took place in South Africa, of course, Johannesburg, and say current members are now total of 11. Yes. So earlier BRICS stand for the 5 countries, and now with the addition of 6 countries that we seen yesterday, 4 countries are from the West Asia region. For example, Iran, then you have Egypt, then Saudi Arabia and UAE, and alongside that the 2 additional countries, that is we have this Argentina, and alongside Argentina we have another country, Argentina of course from South America, Southern Latin American country you can say, and then we have Ethiopia from Africa itself. So these are the 6 countries plus 5 earlier ones, making it total 11 at present. Fine, many more countries are interested in joining this BRICS. So that's it. It means you're both the here it should be both 1 and 2 are correct. Fine. So that's it about yesterday's question. We'll see today's question from today's discussion itself, the Hindu. So let us start with the today's Hindu question. Okay. So this is today's Hindu first front page, and quickly we'll let us have a look. Supreme Court shifts 27 CBI cases in Manipur to Assam, because this was requested by the SG, Solicitor General of India, Tushar Mehta ji, to transfer these cases, taking into account somewhat the partiality may be there if these cases actually, you can see this is the judgment actually given by the bench led by CJI itself. So he passed order on an application filed by Solicitor General of India, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, appearing for the Union government and investigation. Mr. Mehta indicated that judicial officers may belong to one tribal community or the other, and pre-trial hearings may cause a furor or an apprehension of bias in a state which was still restive after months of ethnic violence. So actually ethnic violence took place in Manipur, which is still going on between 2 communities of Meitei and Kuki. So that's why out of concern for further ethnic conflicts or ethnic biasness, so SG requested to shift these cases from Manipur High Court to Assam High Court, and that's what the CJI led bench did yesterday. Okay. President of China, she wants both countries to handle border issue properly. During this BRICS summit, our Prime Minister discussed these LAC issues with raised the LAC issues with the President of China, Xi Jinping. So therefore now the President wants both countries border issue properly, and that's a good thing. Let us have some concrete discussion on the table instead of just having rhetoric. So we'll keep tap on that, whatever coming up next. Further, Pragyan traverses 8 meters on moon. So कल Pragyan ने चक्कर लगाए हैं and covered almost 8 meters on the moon's surface. Fine. That's it about this. Pragyan is our rover, of course. Chandrayaan 3 mission. What else important from this page? Okay, we can see what's going in Punjab. Governor threatens president rule amid face off with the CM man fine of Punjab. So actually, amid an ongoing face off, Punjab Governor Banwarilal Purohit on Friday shot off a letter to Chief Minister asking him to reply to his queries, failing which he said, failing to this to replying my queries, he would send a report to the president about failure of constitutional mechanism in the state under Article 356, that is imposition of president rule. So this is what said by the governor of Punjab. Okay, city page, that is from Delhi, not that important. Of course, अगर कुछ important है तो देख सकते हो. Otherwise, those from Delhi, of course, you should be aware of what's Delhi. Otherwise, not that important for other people. You can see 20 feet Nataraj, a sculpture from Tamil Nadu, to grace G20 venue in Delhi. G20 venue कहाँ पे है? That is प्रगति मैदान. Yes, प्रगति मैदान. Fine. And new name जो है उस प्लेस की क्या दिया गया उसको? भारत मंडपम. ठीक है, जो अभी रेनोवेशन एंड ऑल हुआ है में. तो जो सितंबर 9 एंड 10 को जो होने वाला है G20 की समिट होस्ट कर रहे हैं, वी आर द प्रेसिडेंट दिस ईयर्स 23 G20 समिट. तो उसके लिए तमिलनाडु से नटराज की जो स्कल्पचर है वो भेजा गया है in order to grace the G20 venue in Delhi. So G20, remember this, especially in the historical period, this is very important ancient history. हम अगर बात करें तो especially southern history, South India history की. So this Nataraja sculpture actually belongs to the Chola period. Fine. बस इतना याद रखना, इसमें और कुछ खास इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. The statue is on its way to the Bharat Mandapam, प्रगति मैदान, where the summit is scheduled to be held on September 9 and 10. Fine. अष्ट धातु से इसको बनाया गया है, which includes gold, silver, lead, copper, tin, mercury, iron and zinc. ठीक है. It is believed to be world's tallest Nataraj sculpture because it is of 28 feet. So Cholas are known for architectural marvels, and one of the important contributions of Chola was this Nataraja sculpture. Next, lots of politics only. You can safely skip these pages. Finally, editorial page. So rethink the dynamics of India's fiscal federalism. Fine, this is important piece of article, understanding fiscal federalism. But before that, let us understand the federalism itself. So polity में आप लोग जनरली पढ़ते हो, ये टॉपिक कवर होता है आपके GS2 में, polity. So he is talking about India's fiscal federalism, but before we discuss fiscal federalism, let us first of all be clear about the federalism. So federalism is, federalism is defined as where the two sets of government shares power, let us say, fine, in sharing a power between the two levels of government. For example, center and the states. So federal in nature, federation. So what kind of federation we have? We have holding together federation. Holding together means सब साथ चलेंगे, सबका साथ सबका विकास. So holding together federation with built-in unitary bias. Unitary bias कैसे है? देखते हो कि अगर हम इंडिया में स्टेट्स एंड सेंटर के रिलेशन की बात करें तो ऑफ कोर्स अपर हैंड जो है या ज़्यादा पावर जो है वो सेंटर के पास है. इसलिए हम कहते हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं हमारी जो फेडरेशन है दैट इज तो होल्डिंग टुगेदर है. होल्डिंग टुगेदर मीन सब साथ चलेंगे. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई स्टेट ये कहे कि हम जी न्यू कंट्री बनाएंगे या नया राष्ट्र बनाएंगे. ठीक है, दैट इज तो इसलिए होल्डिंग टुगेदर है, सब साथ चलेंगे, बट सेंटर एंड स्टेट्स, बट यूनिटरी बायस है कहीं ना कहीं. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने ही ऐसा बिल्ट इन मैकेनिज्म प्रोवाइड किया कि यूनिटरी बायस मीन सेंटर को अपर हैंड दी गई है. होना भी चाहिए, अदरवाइज अगर दो पार्टी के पास बराबर पावर हो देन ऑफ कोर्स डिसीजन मेकिंग डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. तो द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वाज द कॉन्टेक्चुअल प्रोडक्ट ऑफ सेंट्रीफ्यूगल फोर्सेस. तो एक सेंट्रीफ्यूगल फोर्स होता है और एक होता है सेंट्रीपेटल. सो सेंट्रीपेटल में क्या होता है कि मूवमेंट टुवर्ड्स द ओरिजिन, टुवर्ड्स द सेंटर ऑफ द सर्कल. सेंट्रीफ्यूगल में क्या होता है कि आप सपोज दिस इज अ सर्कल, दिस इज अ सेंटर, ये क्या है, सेंटर है, ठीक है. तो पावर जो है सेंटर से पेरिफेरी को जा रहा है, ठीक है, ऐसे मीन्स पावर रिवॉल्विंग टू द पेरिफेरी और टू द प्रोविंसेस और अवे फ्रॉम द सेंटर. So this is called centrifugal force. And fissiparous tendencies. Fissiparous basically the divisionary kind of tendency. In the run up to independence, it has journeyed over 73 years with remarkable resilience. ठीक है, सो काफ़ी सारी इसमें अचीवमेंट्स है, काफ़ी सारी इश्यूज की बात करते हैं, बट जो राइटर का फोकस है दैट इज ऑन फिजिकल फेडरलिज्म. मीन्स what should be the mechanism for devolving or dividing or distributing the actually funds, or you can say this, you can say the fiscal part. Fiscal means the revenue or whatever revenue central government collects or states collect, and how should be the division basically in the context of 16th finance commission. अभी तक 15th finance commission हमारे बन चुके हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हैं, एंड 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन कॉन्स्टिट्यूट होने वाला है इन अपकमिंग मंथ्स, ठीक है. तो इसलिए इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में इस आर्टिकल को लिखा गया है कि व्हाट 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन शुड टेक इनटू अकाउंट. फाइन, देयर आर सर्टेन इश्यूज व्हिच हैज बीन रेज्ड बाय द ऑथर. ओके, so even so, the emerging dynamics of India's fiscal federalism needs some rethinking. The paradigm shift from a planned economy to a market-mediated economic system, the transformation of two-tier federation, that is center and state, into multi-tier fiscal system following the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment of 1992, the abolition of the planning commission and its replacement with the Niti Aayog, the passing of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, with all the states forced to fall in line, the Goods and Service Act, with the GST Council holding the controlling lever, the extensive use of cess and surcharges which affect the size of the divisible pool. Of course, cess and surcharge, cess जो होता है वो एक particular purpose के लिए लगाया जाता है. For example, we have cow cess, we have education cess, कि उसकी जो भी उसके थ्रू जो भी आपको रेवेन्यू जनरेट हो रहा है वो उस पर्टिकुलर पर्पस के लिए यूज हो रहा है, ठीक है. सरचार्ज लाइक टैक्स ऑन टैक्स. सपोज जो सुपर रिच है इंडिया में उन पे टैक्स के ऊपर भी कुछ टैक्स लगाया जा रहा है बिकॉज दे कैन, आई मीन दे आर द सुपर रिच. फाइन, सो सरचार्ज इज टैक्स ऑन टैक्स, बट सेस इज मीन फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर पर्पस. फाइन, एंड उसी पर्पस के लिए होता है, एंड जितने टाइम तक वो पर्पस सॉल्व सर्व नहीं हुआ तब तक है, हो गया तो खत्म, ठीक है. बट जनरली नेचर क्या होता है कि सेस एंड सरचार्ज की जो रेवेन्यूज आती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को लेटर से, दैट इज नॉट डिविजिबल एक्चुअली. फाइन, दैट डजंट फॉर्म द पार्ट ऑफ डिविजिबल पूल. फाइन, कि जो भी अगर इससे रेवेन्यू जनरेट हो रहा है, मोबिलाइज हो रहा है फंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को, तो वो सेंटर के पास ही रहेगा. स्टेट्स को हो रहा है तो स्टेट्स के पास ही रहेगा, ठीक है. तो ओवर द टाइम हमने काफ़ी सारे एडिटोरियल डिस्कस भी किए हैं रिलेटेड टू 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन कि क्या वे आउट होना चाहिए. पास्ट में भी 2-3 आर्टिकल्स हमने देखे हैं, तो उसमें भी ये मेंशन था कि कहीं ना कहीं ओवर द टाइम हम देख रहे हैं कि सेस एंड सरचार्ज की जो ओवरऑल शेयर है वो हमें ऑलमोस्ट डबल ट्वाइस और कैन से मोर देन उसमें दिस 2 times की ग्रोथ देखने को मिला है, ठीक है, कंपेयरिंग टू द 5-7 years back. Okay. So he is raising 4 issues with respect to this fiscal federalism. First, India's intergovernmental transfers, that is from center to state, should be decidedly more equity oriented. So it should be based more on equity. Fine. This is the first issue. So ऐसा क्यों कह रहे हैं? क्योंकि एक यहाँ पे थॉमस पिकेटी, the man who wrote a book called Capital in the 21st Century, and Chancel and Piketty in 2019 estimated that the top 1% earners in India captured less than 21% of the total income in the 1930s. But this was drastically reduced to 6% in the early 1980s and then rose again to 22% during the liberalization era, that is post-1 new economic policy. So to be sure, tax exemptions, tax concessions and other revenues foregone in recent times disproportionately favor the rich and have reduced the size of the divisible pool. कि कहीं ना कहीं अगर टैक्स एग्जेम्पशंस रिच सुपर रिच को दी जाए तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की जो मोबिलाइजेशन, जो फंड्स या जो रेवेन्यू जनरेशन की जो सोर्सेज है वो काफ़ी लिमिटेड हो जाती है, ठीक है। तो अल्टीमेटली इसका इम्पैक्ट कहाँ पड़ता है? स्टेट्स पे, क्योंकि सेंटर के पास अगर पैसा कम आ रहा है तो ऑफकोर्स सेंटर वुड लाइक टू डिवॉल्व लेसर अमाउंट देन द प्रीवियस फाइनेंस कमीशन, यू कैन से। तो इसलिए ये सब नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट करते हैं फिजिकल फेडरलिज्म को। उसके बाद ये अपनी स्टडीज़ की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। सो आप यूज़ कर सकते हो, कहीं कोड कर सकते हो इसको। सो माई स्टडी ऑन द कन्वर्जेंस ट्रेजेक्ट्री ऑफ equity as a concern for 16th finance body or finance commission. So in his study on the convergence trajectory of per capita income of 16 major states from 1970-71 through 2021 shows an increasingly divergent trend where the standard deviation value of log PCI has increased to this much. It's a quite technical thing, just understand this much. Somewhat in his study he found that somewhat there is a standard deviation, means of course the convergence in PCI of the 16 major states has been somewhat deviated from the standard, I mean from the normal. So therefore, and this figure is somewhat registering a compound annual growth of 0.72%. So this much percentage means 72.72% की जो है divergence है in PCI amongst the 16 major states. On the other hand, एक additional study भी इन्होंने की है that is related to the HDI Human Development Index across 15 states. It shows the convergence during the post-reform period, means post 1991. Fine. यहाँ पे जो standard deviation value है for of HDI has reduced to 0.268 from 0.72. So you can see कि कितनी ज़्यादा deviation है actually. Fine. Not the deviation. This is CAGR. Deviation is this one 0.16. फाइन, बट इसमें पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है अगर आपका इकोनॉमिक्स बैकग्राउंड है या आप इकोनॉमिक्स ऑप्शनल आपके पास है एज अ ऑप्शनल, अगर आपके पास इकोनॉमिक्स सब्जेक्ट है देन आप इसको अच्छे से यूज कर सकते हो, कोड कर सकते हो, आपको ये चीजें पता भी लग जाएंगी, ठीक है। अदरवाइज यू नीड नॉट टू गेट इनटू दैट। So instructively, the disaggregated picture since 2005 that spans FRBM legislation shows a declining rate of convergence with high compound annual growth rate. The economy, you can say. So over the time, we have seen somewhat divergence between these two, indicators or indices, you can say, especially with respect to the growth and per capita income. So of minus this much, इसमें भी हमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं है। फर्स्ट चीज हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। सेकंड इज in second we'll be coming to that. Before that, he is underlining some important things for the 16th Finance Commission, and that is equity should be the overarching concern for 16th Finance Commission, and that HDI could be considered as a strong candidate in the horizontal distribution tax devolution. So horizontal distribution is between the same level of government, let's say between the two states. Vertical is from center to states, horizontal is between states only. ठीक है, कि दो स्टेट्स को पैसे देना है, किस बेसिस पे आप दोगे, तो आप HDI को कंसीडर कर सकते हो एज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग कैंडिडेट फॉर दिस और or as an indicator. So second point, he said I am raising 4 issues. So first was related to this equity concern, that 16th Finance Commission should take into account the equity between the states and the center, of course especially in the horizontal distribution, means between the states. And second concern is he is raising, there is a case for revisiting Article 246 and the 7th schedule for a de novo division of powers, functions and responsibilities for a variety of reasons. So he is saying is somewhat we need to revisit Article 246, which gives actually power to the central government over the states government, especially in the matters of raising finances or borrowing from the market. And 7th schedule actually divides the we have under this central list, state list and concurrent list, actually gives or divides the power between the center and the states, that on that respective subjects under state list, let us say state has the power to frame rules and regulations. Then under central list, of course the exclusive domain is of center, and under concurrent list both has the domain to legislate or come up with the laws and regulations. But of course in the merit of tie or let us say some conflict, of course center has upper hand or the parliament has upper hand. So in this matter he says that division of powers, function and responsibility needs to be relooked for a number of reasons. So now he is giving 2-3 reasons. First, let us discuss those reasons, and then we'll be again coming back to the issues he is raising. So 2 points of issues we have already discussed. First is equity concern, and second is related to the revisiting of Article 246 and 7th schedule itself. But under this second issue, he is raising some, giving further reasons. So number one is India is no longer the one-party governance of post-independent times. It has become a truly multi-party system. So the nature of polity, society, technology, demographic structure, and the developmental paradigm itself have significantly changed over time. So that's why we need to revisit and to Article 246 alongside 7th schedule as well. Second reason is under the changing dispensation, that is changing governments, and several pieces of central legislation such as Manrega 2005, the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, the National Food Security Act 2013, and many others impose an extra burden on the states. Okay, so these are the two reasons he is giving for which, of course, we need to somewhat revisit or relook at the Article 246 and 7th schedule, that is division of power between states. Fine. So third is, at the time of constitution making, we never ask the pertinent questions of who should do what and who should tax what. This is a third issue actually he is raising, not the reasons now. So the two reasons related to the second issue is we borrowed copiously, of course. So हुआ क्या था कि उस टाइम पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में many of our provisions in constitution based on the government of India provisions of और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 itself. So वहां से हमने काफी सारी प्रोविजंस बोरो किए हैं, या यू कैन से कि कॉपी पेस्ट किए हैं, एंड वी एक्चुअली फेल्ड टू अप्लाई द सब्सिडारिटी प्रिंसिपल. सब्सिडारिटी प्रिंसिपल होता क्या है, इसमें यह है कि अगर किसी लेवल पे बेस्ट किया जा सकता है, लेट अस से स्टेट जो है वो किसी चीज में या किसी सेक्टर में बेटर कर सकते हैं, तो लेट द स्टेट्स डू दिस, फाइन, नॉट there is no need of center to actually intervene in that domain. So that is called subsidiarity principle. Whatever could be done best at a particular level should be done at that level and not at a higher level in the division of functions and finance. Although 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments provided an opportunity to re-examine the issue, nothing was done. In fact, more confusion was added with the introduction of Schedule 11 related to the Panchayati Raj institutions and Schedule 12, which is related to the municipalities. List out the subject matter for the Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities. So there are certain subject matters जैसे कुछ list हैं जो areas defined हैं जिसपे पंचायती राज institution जो पंचायत से वो handle कर सकती हैं, या उसकी उस पे कुछ अपने level पे इसको exercise कर सकती हैं power को with respect to these subjects. Somewhere 18 subjects are there. And then municipalities भी, ठीक है. For example, local administration, especially आप देखते हो municipalities generally functions can sanitary all. So by simply lifting items from the state list and concurrent list, but इसमें जो इनको additional subjects दिए गए कि इस पे आप govern कर सकते हो, वो जो subjects निकाले गए वो कहाँ से निकाले गए, state list से and concurrent list से, ना कि central list से, remember. So this is another issue. But issue क्या है कि इनके पास funds नहीं है. Ultimately they work under the provision of state governments. So state इनकी funds देती नहीं है, subject matter बहुत हैं but पैसा नहीं है. So they lack the operational meaning unless they are broken down into activities and sub activities, as Kerala and few others have done. Fine. So a new local list that will map out the function and financial responsibilities of the Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities is inevitable. Fine. So this is of course the third reason or the third issue. Apart from that, because this is with respect to again changing the listings, subjects under the list. Now the fourth, a respectable place for the third tier. यही जो हम municipalities and पंचायती राज institute बात कर रहे हैं. So these are the third tier. How center at the number one. So the first tier, then second tier government in India, states, third tier the local level government. Okay? So fourth is persistent failure to place the third tier properly on the fiscal federal map of India is a serious issue. The absence of uniform financial reporting system, standard budgeting rules for all tiers, even for the third tiers like Panchayati Raj institution and municipalities, comprising all levels of government is a major deficit which coming Union Finance Commissions may be required to address. ठीक है, so somewhat जो फिजिकल फेडरल मैप पे जो थर्ड टियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट जो है, जो कि लोकल लेवल गवर्नमेंट्स है, जिसको हैं फॉर एग्जांपल म्युनिसिपैलिटीज एंड पंचायती राज, इनके लिए जो फंडिंग प्रोविजन है यानी यूनिफॉर्म फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग सिस्टम करनी चाहिए, एंड अपकमिंग जो फाइनेंस कमीशन 16th फाइनेंस है उसके लिए एक ये टास्क हो सकता है. ऑल्दो द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रेफर्स टू द थर्ड टियर as institutions of self-government, policymakers, experts, and even the Union Finance Commissions (UPSCs) generally refer to them as local bodies. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या रेफर करता है, कैसे डिफाइन करता है हमारे लोकल बॉडीज को और थर्ड टियर गवर्नमेंट्स को, पंचायत म्यूनिसिपैलिटी को, एज एन इंस्टीट्यूशंस ऑफ सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट, बट पॉलिसी मेकर्स एंड एक्सपर्ट्स एंड इवन यूनियन फाइनेंस कमीशन जनरली रेफर टू देम एज and have not given the respect and the hand holding they deserve. So the failure in building the local democratic base of India, which has over 3.2 million elected representatives, means 32 lakh, and over 2.5 lakh rural and urban local governments, is an enigma. Is well recognized that the prime objective of our federation with deep heterogeneity is to provide basic service of quality to citizen irrespective of her choice of residence. So this is what he is raising the issue कि somewhat the failure of third tier government in India is because of the policy makers, experts, and their definition of the same, because they define it as local bodies and not as an institution of government as has been in their constitution. So these are the issues. Now he is raising another question: will the terms of reference of the next commission consider this third tier? Right? So this is another question. Review of budget borrowing. So fifth issue he is raising is there is a greater need to review the off budget borrowing practices of both the union and the states. Off budget borrowing hota kya? It means all borrowings not provided for in the budget but whose repayment liabilities fall on the budget itself of the union and the state. तो ऑफ बजट जब भी हर साल आप देखते हो, जैसे 23-24 के लिए बजट इस बार गवर्नमेंट ने सरकार लेके आई, तो उसमें क्या है कि आपको एक फोरकास्ट दिया जाता है कि इतना हम पैसा मोबिलाइज करने वाले हैं, इतना खर्चा करने वाले हैं, एंड फिर उसमें एक्स्ट्रा ऑफ बजटिंग होती है कि हाँ इतना पैसा है हम मार्केट से बोरो करने वाले हैं. ठीक है, सो समवॉट, बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस वी ऑल्सो हैव प्रोविजन ऑफ बजट बोरोइंग्स, जहाँ पे कि सरकार जो है वो सेंटर की हो या स्टेट की लिबरली बोरो करती है, जिसका कि कोई लेना देना नहीं, क्लियर कट मेंशन नहीं अमाउंट इन द बजट इटसेल्फ, बट अल्टीमेटली द लायबिलिटी ऑफ दिस फंड्स एक्चुअली डिपेंड्स ऑन और फॉल ऑन द बजट इटसेल्फ. सरकार ही तो उसको वापस करेगी ना, कहीं से करना पड़ेगा. So they are generally unscrutinized and unreported of budget borrowings we are talking about. That all income and expenditure transactions should fall under some budget head or other is a universal principle. ठीक है, कि जो भी सरकार की रेवेन्यू एंड एक्सपेंडिचर है वो कहीं ना कहीं एक बजट एक हेड के अंदर फॉल करना चाहिए, बट ऐसा ऑफ बजट में नहीं होता. State public sector undertakings a special purpose because raise resources from the markets, but their servicing burden often falls on the state government. एक बात है, स्टेट PSUs हो या सेंटर के PSUs हो या स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल्स बनती हैं फॉर द स्पेसिफिक पर्पस फॉर स्पेसिफिक प्रोजेक्ट्स, तो सबकी जो बर्डन है, जो लायबिलिटी है, दैट अल्टीमेटली फॉल्स ऑन द स्टेट और द गवर्नमेंट. The central government that should get set good examples is probably more guilty of off-budget borrowing than the states. Although the states are disciplined through Article 293 Clause 3 by the Union and through the FRBM Act 2003, the Union often escapes such controls. So he is now putting questions over the Union government itself. The liberal utilization of the NSSF, that is National Small Saving Fund, for extra budgetary financing of central public sector undertakings and central ministries by way of loans is not reflected in the union fiscal deficits. These are the actually the leverages or the, you can say, the sources from where the central governments use or mix of budgeting of budget borrowings. Fine. So this is because only the consolidated fund of India balance is considered for calculating fiscal deficit, and items in public accounts such as the NSSF are kept out of it. तो जहां तक बात करें तो बोरिंग स्पेस जो स्टेट्स की वो लिमिटेड है, क्योंकि उसको रेगुलेट टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट भी कर सकती है, करती भी है. The union escapes such discipline. There is also a huge area of special banking arrangements using public sector banks to facilitate cash and credit flow outside the budgetary appropriations to help various agencies which involved in quasi fiscal operations with the government. ठीक है. सो ऐसा भी देखने को मिलता है कि कहीं ना कहीं PSU जो पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स हैं उनके थ्रू सरकार जो भी क्वाजाई फिस्कल ऑपरेशंस में एजेंसीज इन्वॉल्व हैं उनको भी कहीं ना कहीं उनके लिए भी अप्रोप्रिएशन मींस बजटरी अप्रोप्रिएशन जो है वो इन मोबिलाइजिंग फंड्स वो हेल्प करती है आउट ऑफ द PSUs banks, PSBs, public sector banks. So transparency guarantees and public accountability demand that the union, states and local governments, all three tiers, come clean and bring all extra budgetary transactions to the public domain. Okay, this is what we even as the citizens want. So in sum, the dynamics of the emerging fiscal federalism of India entails significant rethinking, especially in the context of the 16th Finance Commission, the upcoming one to be constituted this year only. Fine. So these are the issues lying before the 16th Finance Commission. Next is another important, and that is about the clean tech for an inclusive green future in India. Since we are all talking about the climate change, we all want to be, when we have placed to be net zero by 2070, and of course we are doing somewhat better than the many other even developed countries on that front, especially the in the clean tech, not tech part, but of course in reducing the carbon emissions and all, and meeting our own targets. Fine. So therefore the writer somewhat providing some glimpses in the, of course, what our Prime Minister said from the this in his address to the nation on Independence Day, that India showing the world how to combat climate change. India's experience has shown that the climate action is only effective and embraced at a scale if it aligns with the development aspirations of millions and contributes. कि जो भी हम स्टेप्स ले रहे हैं वो अगर डेवलपमेंटल प्रोसेस के सिंक में है तभी उसका फायदा है. ठीक है. कि जैसे जैसे हम विकास कर रहे हैं, यू कैन सी कि इंडियाज एक्सपीरियंस हैज शोन दैट क्लाइमेट एक्शन इज ओनली इफेक्टिव एंड एम्ब्रेस एट अ स्केल इफ इट अलाइंस विद द डेवलपमेंटल एस्पिरेशंस. कि हमारी जो विकास की एस्पिरेशंस हैं, जो भी हम जिस स्केल से डेवलप होना चाहते हैं, करना चाहते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं ज़रूरी है कि उसके सिंक में जो भी हमारे क्लाइमेट एक्शंस हैं वो हों. ठीक है. देन ओनली वी कैन थिंक ऑफ हैविंग ग्रीन ग्रोथ. So green economy paradigm provides an optimistic pathway to align development and environmental outcomes. Okay. So here we are talking about the alignment of or integration of two things, environment and development. For instance, building a solar park or an electric vehicle charging station helps expand the much needed infrastructure in a developing economy. ठीक बात है कि अगर आप सोलर पार्क लगाते हो यहाँ EVs के लिए, अगर आप चार्जिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो ऑफ कोर्स आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कहीं ना कहीं ऐड कर रहे हो, डेवलपमेंट में ऐड कर रहे हो. तो while furthering climate action, similarly reviving millets help improve farm incomes in rain-fed areas while making our agriculture climate resilient. International Year of Millet हम सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं 2023, यूनाइटेड नेशंस declared. Fine. So but how do we take this green economy paradigm to the heart of our development needs in the form of youth looking for jobs, women seeking income opportunities, and farmers waiting to diversify their incomes? So with respect to these three of course domain, of course related to the youth, women and farmers, how can we march ahead with the green tech, or the what initiatives we need to take in order to take or integrate our development with environment itself? तो इनिशिएटिव्स इन द हिंटरलैंड, कुछ इनिशिएटिव्स ऐसे हैं जो हिंटरलैंड्स में लिए गए हैं, जो हमें रूरल इंडिया में देखने को मिले हैं इन द रिसेंट ईयर्स. तो फर्स्ट, डिफरेंट इनिशिएटिव्स हैव बीन टेकन. फॉर एग्जांपल, by enabling access to clean tech solutions for livelihoods among the rural population. For instance, is solar dryers converting throwaway tomatoes into sun-dried ones in Andhra Pradesh. So this is a first example. Biomass powered cold storage helping farmers in Maharashtra selling lemons make a gain that is 3 to 5 times that of the original price. Second from Maharashtra, or solar silk reeling machines reducing drudgery for high reelers and doubling their income in Odisha. So these are the three instances we have seen in the recent past that what author is mentioning, that shows that we are of course somewhat. These are the some of the 50,000 plus examples apart from these three, how clean tech solutions are already contributing to the jobs and incomes of rural women and men. ठीक है, so these are the examples जो substantiate करते हैं इस point को कि clean tech के साथ साथ हम कैसे development हो सकती है. But this silent revolution that is underway from the hinterlands of India or from the rural that is going on from Rajasthan to Nagaland and Kashmir to Tamil Nadu now needs a structural boost. Okay? India's rural economy that comprises around 120 million farmers, somewhat 12 crore, and 34 million micro enterprises, that is 3.4, 34 million, often struggles with unreliable electricity access. Of course irrigation तो चाहिए, तो उसके लिए proper electricity supply भी चाहिए, and dependence on the expensive and imported diesel. These clean tech solutions that are powered by renewable energy, for example solar pumps, ठीक है, recent times में हमें देखने को मिले हैं, can help India reduce its diesel imports, avoid the loss of perishable food and enhance rural livelihood opportunities while posing and investing worth $50 billion for investment. All seems to be good here. Research at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water Q shows that just 12 such clean tech solutions, for example varying from solar pumps to cold storage to charkhas and looms, have the potential to impact at least 37 million livelihoods, or about 16% of our rural population. Even you see, he is a fellow at the Q and director of powering livelihoods. So there needs to be a threefold approach. What should be the threefold approach to traverse this journey from 50,000 plus to tens of millions plus? So three solutions from his side. First is leverage existing government programs supporting livelihoods. For instance, the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana that extends collateral-free loans for micro enterprises can be used to enable the adoption of clean tech solution. So this is, there are 2-3 different schemes or programs the government of India is talking about. So first is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. This can be leveraged because it provides collateral-free loans for micro enterprises. Fine. So it can be used to enable the adoption of clean tech solution. Similarly, another is PMFME, that is Pradhan Mantri Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises scheme that supports the adoption of technology among micro food enterprises, can be used to unlock support for solutions such as solar dryer and energy efficient multi-purpose food processor or solar grain mill. Fine. So जो अभी तक हम कन्वेंशनल डीजल से चला रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल सोलर दिस मिल्स हो सकती है, ग्रेन मिल्स या ड्रायर्स हो सकती हैं, सो उनको हम सोलर उसकी जगह डीजल की जगह यूज कर सकते हैं. So this is another clean tech solution. Fine. So this is the B, second scheme PMFME that can be leveraged. The third is Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana related to the fishery sector. So this is a third scheme. This can again be leveraged towards adopting solar refrigerators and dryers for fishing communities. Finally, the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. This is the fourth one, which has only seen 15% fund utilization against a target of 1 lakh crore, and support the adoption of biomass powered cold storage and beyond. This is the fourth one. I mean the D. So these 4 different schemes or programs of the central government can be leveraged or used for moving towards the clean tech, the different sectors. Second solution, enable large scale financing of clean tech solutions. It requires supporting bankers capacity on credit assessment. तो इसमें सेकंड में सजेशन ये दे रहे हैं कि जो बैंकर्स की कैपेसिटी है टू लेंड फॉर सच क्लीन टेक, कहीं ना कहीं सरकार को, बिकॉज इनिशियली वो हेजिटेट करेंगे लेंड करने से बिकॉज ऑफ क्रेडिट प्रोफाइल ऑफ द बोरोवर्स इटसेल्फ. तो यहाँ पे यह कि गवर्नमेंट को पार्शली कहीं ना कहीं जो गारंटीज है वो देनी पड़ेगी लोन के लिए कि हाँ इन केस ऑफ मींस हेज करना पड़ेगा टू द रिस्क दिस रिस्क ऑफ द बैंक्स स्पेशली इन द इनिशियल स्टेजेस. Apart from this, third is enable multi-sector partnership between technology innovators, manufacturers, distributors, and service providers, financiers, and market linkage players to enable an overall ecosystem. So third suggestion is we need to have an integration or multi-sector partnership between different stakeholders. Fine. Finally, we need a holistic ecosystem where distributors work with manufacturers to enable technology access at the last mile. Service providers ensures after-sales service, and market linkage players enable the connection to the market to create a thriving ecosystem for clean tech to impact rural livelihood scale. For instance, another example is there are solar dryer companies that are not only deploying dryers but are also enabling financing for users to adopt the dryers and buying back the final produce from them to ensure market linkages. So this can be quoted as one of the examples. कि solar dryer companies जो हैं वो not only deploying their dryers but are also enabling financing for the users of those solar dryers. So that's a good thing. India has massive ambitions for clean and green future by focusing on clean tech for livelihoods and jobs, especially in rural areas. We can make that green future inclusive. समावेशी विकास की इस जर्नी में जो डेवलपमेंट की जर्नी है उसमें कोई छूट ना जाए, कोई पीछे ना रह जाए, सबको साथ लेके चले, सबका साथ सबका विकास का प्रयास. Now let us have a quick look at the miscellaneous articles, miscellaneous facts from the today's newspaper. The politics are okay. Now this is important. Chandrayaan-3 land on the near side of the moon. So there are different sides of the moon: near side, far side. Fine. Near side. So we have landed on the near side of the moon and not on the far side of the moon. Now what exactly is the difference between these different sides, and in what terms actually we distinguish between the two? So you see that moon's near and far sides is, and another is the dark side. So what exactly are these three sides? One by one. The near side actually refers to the portion of the moon about 60% that is visible to us. It is always the same side that is visible from Earth because the moon takes the same time to rotate about its axis as it does to circle around the Earth. तो जो हमें अर्थ से साइड नजर आती है मून की वो क्या है? दैट इज द नियर साइड एंड दैट इज ऑलमोस्ट 60% विजिबिलिटी है उसकी. ठीक है. देन however this doesn't imply that the half the moon is in perpetual darkness, but इसका मतलब ये भी नहीं कि जो हमें आधा दिखाई नहीं देता वो हमेशा डार्क फेज या डार्क ही रहता है, डार्क साइड ऑफ द मून है. नो, दिस इज रॉन्ग assumption. The new moon, or when the moon is invisible from Earth, is the time when the other far side of the moon is bathed in sunlight and continues to receive light for nearly a fortnight. Days almost. ठीक है. जैसे हमने देखा था कि 14 days की विंडो है, इसीलिए 1 अर्थ डे इज somewhat 14 days 14 अर्थ डे इज इक्वल टू 1 मून डे. इसकी बात की भी थी कि क्यों ऐसा हुआ है. फाइन. अब अगर डार्क साइड की बात करें हम, तो डार्क साइड इज दस डार्क ओनली इन द सेंस दैट इट वाज mysterious and its various topographical features hidden until the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3. अभी जो क्रैश हो गया है दैट इज लूना, जो फील्ड मिशन रहा है रशिया का, दैट इज लूना 25, बट दिस वाज अ लूना 3 actually successful mission in 1959 itself. So it was first time the Soviet Union, of course Russia was the leader of that, so first time they sent the Luna 3 mission on dark side of the moon. So it photographed it, and the Soviet Academy of Sciences released an atlas of these images. Astronauts on board the Apollo 8 mission of 1968 US were the first humans to see the far side of the moon. Fine. So they were the first ones. So is the dark side very different from the near side? The major जो difference है दोनों में, dark side में and near side में, वो that near side is relatively smoother and has many more maria or large volcanic plains compared to the far side. Far side पे क्या issue है? There are huge craters thousands of kilometers wide which have likely resulted from collision with asteroids. Both sides जो moon की है near and far in its formative phases were similarly bombarded. The crust on the near side is thinner, because of which over millions of years the volcanic lava in the lunar crust has flowed more extensively. Now question ये आता है कि जो हमने भेजा है अपनी this लैंडर 3 जो है हमारा चंद्रयान 3 का जो लैंडर है विक्रम, उसने लैंड किया है ऑन द नियर साइड ऑफ मून, रिमेंबर, एंड नॉट द फार साइड. फार साइड पे लैंड करने वाला सिर्फ एक ही मिशन है अभी तक वर्ल्ड में, एंड दैट इज China's Chang'e 4 lander remains the only one to have successfully landed on the far side of the moon. Fine. So what's so special about the Chandrayaan 3's landing on the near side of the moon? Chandrayaan 3 mission, while still on the near side, has managed to land Vikram, the closest ever to the lunar south pole, around 600 kilometers away from the exact south pole se hai. That's why we call it near south pole. Fine. The choice of being as close as possible to the South Pole was to get closer to a permanently shadowed region or where no sunlight ever reaches. Fine. This would mean increasing the chances of encountering frozen water ice along with several interesting deposits. और तो बेसिक जो स्टडी करनी है वो यही करनी है, एटमॉस्फेरिक जो रीजन है या जो बेसिकली एम्पेरिकल रिसर्च जो रिसर्च करनी है वो की जो सरफेस है वहाँ की टोपोग्राफी क्या है एक्चुअली. फाइन. So this is how frozen water ice and alongside many interesting deposits can be found out that can reveal more about the moon and its harvestable resources. Fine. So these are all the missions. The mission's guiding purpose was to execute a successful controlled or soft landing, and the chances of doing that best while being near the South Pole were best served by keeping in the near side. Near side थोड़ी in comparison to the far side कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा plain region है. I mean that's not that much somewhat you find craters kind of thing, that deep craters as far as you find on the far side of the moon. So of course it's more challenging to land on the far side than the near side. Of course near side of course अपने आप में challenge है, first time India ने किया है. So India ने near South Pole जो near side of the South Pole है, first time in the world, the first country to do so. चाइना ने जो किया वो फार साइड किया. दिस अगेन चाइना इज द फर्स्ट टू डू सो. ठीक है. व्लादिमीर पुतिन जो है ही इज गोइंग टू स्किप द G20 समिट इन न्यू दिल्ली. नेक्स्ट इज अबाउट इंडिया एंड ग्रीस प्लेस टू अपग्रेड द टाइज टू बिकम स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स. फाइन. फर्स्ट टाइम आफ्टर 40 इयर्स किसी इंडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने विजिट किया है. लास्ट टाइम 1983 में हमारी उस टाइम के प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंदिरा गांधी जी गई थी एथेंस, दैट इज द कैपिटल ऑफ ग्रीक्स. एंड ग्रीस के साथ हमारी जो रिलेशंस हैं वो सिविलाइजेशनल काइंड ऑफ रिलेशंस हैं, way back from the times of Alexander the Great. Fine. And PM जो है second highest order of the Greece इनको receive हुआ है कल, that is called the Grand Cross of the Order of Honor. Fine. This was given by the Greek president. And what the two prime ministers actually discussed in their bilateral discussions. So announcing the decision in Athens, Prime Minister said that two countries will collaborate in the fields of defense and will soon conclude an agreement on migration mobility to smoother movement of skilled population of both sides. Greece actually wants from India, especially the Indian IT companies, to open their branches in Greece and therefore provide the even the people. Actually, there are people around 15,000 Indians residing in Greece, so they want the Indian companies to come and set up their branches so that the people can get the employment in the IT sector. So that's why we're talking about the skilled population. So Greek Prime Minister, that is Kyriakos Mitsotakis, in his comments expressed commitment to freedom of navigation and said there are concerns in this regard in both the Eastern Mediterranean and the Indo-Pacific region. तो यहाँ पे दोनों जगह पे तो इसको अंडरलाइन किया है ग्रीक प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने. Our Prime Minister further said that both the sides have agreed to boost defense industries and military links. ठीक है, इसीलिए strategic word किया, strategic partnership, basically related to the defense and all. But alongside this, हमारे Prime Minister ने ये भी underline किया है कि in future we would like to have more of course, आज भी हैं या historically civilization relations भी हैं इंडिया ग्रीस के साथ ग्रीस के बीच. बट कहीं ना कहीं हमारे जो फोकस है इन फ्यूचर वी लाइक टू प्रमोट कल्चरल एंड एकेडमिक एक्सचेंजेस बिटवीन द एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड इंक्रीज पीपल कॉन्टैक्ट. दिस इज अंडरलाइंड बाय आवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर. फाइन. दैट्स इट अबाउट दिस. What else? So squatters cannot claim right to public space. This has been said by top court, that is Supreme Court. Instead, squatters are those who actually let us say illegally occupying or inhabiting a particular land, let us say government land, somewhat residing there, let us say, but illegally, in illegal manner. So therefore this is what the Indore best city, MP top state in smart city context. So अभी 2022 का जो फोर्थ एडिशन ऑफ ये आईसेक है, दैट इज इंडिया स्मार्ट सिटीज अवार्ड कॉन्टेस्ट, इसमें इंदौर ने टॉप किया है इन स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन कॉन्टेस्ट, एंड जो मध्य प्रदेश है इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टेट भी टॉप पे रहा है. तमिलनाडु इज अ सेकंड इन स्टेट कैटेगरी. चंडीगढ़ रिकॉग्नाइज द बेस्ट यूनियन टेरिटरी. ठीक है. तो आईसेक अवार्ड जो है, इट इज बीइंग ऑर्गेनाइज्ड अंडर द स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग एंड अर्बन अफेयर्स इटसेल्फ. ठीक है. And this is the fourth edition of the ISEC, started in 2018, then 1920, 2021 में नहीं हो सका था because of COVID. ठीक है. And this is the 22, that is fourth edition of this. ठीक है. तो ये ध्यान रखना. Government has this target of 100 smart cities under the smart cities mission, which was launched actually in the 2015 itself. 100 cities जो है उनको स्मार्ट बनाना है. इसी के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ये जो है. नेक्स्ट इज रिलेटेड टू G20 मिनिस्टर्स अग्री टू मैप ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन्स लिंक्स MSMEs. MSMEs इंडिया के लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. जैसा कि आपको पता होगा 33% ऑलमोस्ट शेयर है ओवरऑल GDP में हमारे, एंड इवन की मेजर शेयर है एम्प्लॉयमेंट में भी. तो इसलिए G20 जो मिनिस्टर्स हैं, स्पेशली ट्रेड मिनिस्टर्स, ट्रेड एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट मिनिस्टर्स, उन्होंने अग्री किया है 3 की annexes. So first annex is about G20 generic framework for mapping global value chains and make them more inclusive, sustainable and shock proof. Second is relates to MSMEs, including in other emerging economies, and providing them trade related information. Means MSMEs में in nutshell काफी focus है. The third annex is about the principles on digitalization of trade documents. जो भी documents हैं trade related, उनको digitalize किया जाए. Taming rising prices, a priority set by our honorable finance minister, union finance minister. कि inflationary situation हमें देखने को मिल रहे हैं. So prices को tame करना is not clear if rates are high enough, said by Jerome Powell, the US Federal Reserve chairman. ठीक है. So rates might we see somewhat going upward in the US, especially we're talking about the policy rates, the resultant impact on the world economy. China and Bhutan holds first meeting on limitation of disputed boundary. So that's a good thing कि बात कर रहे हैं, बात करके ही कुछ हल निकलेगा. बट स्पेशली जो इशू है, दैट इज इंडिया भी यहाँ पे इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है. एंड इस सेंस में क्योंकि डोकलम जो कन्फ्लिक्ट हमें देखने को मिला था इन 2017, जो डोकलम प्लेट्यू है एक्चुअली, दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस भूटान, बट इट इज समवेयर एट द ट्राइज जंक्शन ऑफ इंडिया, चाइना, भूटान. ठीक है, बॉर्डर्स. तो इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक्सपर्ट्स इन इंडिया हैव सेड एनी डील बिटवीन बीजिंग एंड थिम्पू दैट एक्सीड्स टू स्वैप अरेंजमेंट्स. चाइना ये चाहता है कि एरिया जो दो हैं नॉर्थ में, जैम्परलोंग एंड पासमालोंग वैलीज, वो भूटान को दे दे, एंड भूटान से जो है वो डोकलम को ले ले. So with Doklam to the west would be of a concern to India, given the proximity to India's narrow Siliguri corridor. तो डोकलम प्लेट्यू जो है वो काफी सिलीगुड़ी के पास पड़ता है. सिलीगुड़ी कॉरिडोर जो कि इंडियन मेनलैंड से जो हमारी नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स है उसको कनेक्ट करता है, कनेक्टिविटी बेसिकली. फाइन. So India and China were involved in a standoff in Doklam near the Indian-China-Bhutan tri-junctions. In March, Bhutanese Prime Minister said in an interview that the process of demarcating territories and drawing a line could be completed. So this is the 25th round of China-Bhutan boundary talk. We're keeping tab on this. What's coming out of that? Even Indian government is keeping on this because that's important, that's critical for us as well. That's it. Finally, we have landed on the sports page. So that's it about today's Hindu analysis is concerned. Let us have a quick look at the questions from the today's analysis itself. The first question is, consider the following statement with respect to India's Smart Cities Award contest. Fine. And second is, India has massive ambitions for clean and green future. By focusing on clean tech for livelihoods and jobs, especially in rural areas, we can make that green future inclusive. We need to comment on that for 15 marker and in 250 words. Fine. So these are the two questions from the today's discussion itself. That's it from my side. If you have any query, anything, you can put the same in the comment section. Until then, take care, keep revising, and Stay tuned for Monday Hindu analysis, but do not forget to solve these two questions. Fine. Thank you.